Welcome to Ohio WIC channel. My name is Ann Kudis, and I'm one of the Nutrition and Administrative Services consultants here at State WIC. And today we're going to continue that nutrition education video series that we've been viewing. Today's topic concerns evaluating your nutrition education opportunities that you are providing to your participants. There it is on the Management Evaluation Guide. This is what it says. The effectiveness of nutrition education and materials being provided must be evaluated. The effectiveness of nutrition education is evaluated. All nutrition education materials are reviewed and filed according to policy. Nutrition education activity updates are reported on the quarterly activity reports. The Management Evaluation Guide is found in the Appendix 100 of your Policy and Procedure Manual, and it's the tool that we, NASSers, complete during the management evaluation. Many directors also will complete a mock ME guide prior to the ME, or they'll provide staff with trainings that relate to their duties using that ME guide. Let's break down this section as to what the NASSers are looking for on the management evaluation. The effectiveness of nutrition education, or NE, is evaluated. To determine effectiveness, you must ask these two questions. How do you know that your participants are learning something or trying to make behavior changes from what you provide as nutrition education? And how do you know that the topics or methods of education that you are providing are working for your participants? First, let's look at your individual counseling sessions. When you provide individual counseling at a certification, recertification, or high-risk appointment, there is a way to answer these questions. That small area on the nutrition care plan that you check if the prior goal was met or not, and any other pertinent documentation, that answers these questions. If the participant was not able to achieve their goal, why? Should you have assisted them in breaking the goal into smaller action steps? Were they confused by the education you provided? Perhaps you provided information in one of the stages of change, like action, when the participant was only in the contemplative stage. Just keep in mind, this is a good place to assess your own counseling and education skills. But what about all those other education methods that you use? Here's a listing of the different methods and some suggestions for how to evaluate what the participant learned or is capable of doing at home with the new information that you've provided. For classes, include pre or post quizzes to assess what the participant learned. Remember, carefully select your words. Quizzes at WIC may make some people anxious. Make sure at least one question relates to behavior change that they can make at home. Another evaluation technique is asking for a demonstration, like showing a different breastfeeding hold with a stuffed animal or a doll. Finally, you could also ask questions of the group and get several answers for the behavior question to assess effectiveness. Do not put anyone on the spot. Remember, if you're doing themed or party-type classes, they're the same as a general topic class, and you must include an evaluation method for those as well. If you want to provide mid-certification nutrition education credit for your participants attending mom's breastfeeding or support groups, then these also must have an evaluation method. Let's move on to our modules and how they're evaluated. Modules are a self-study class of one, so to evaluate their effectiveness, they must always contain a few questions. Here's a sample module, and you can see the questions at the bottom of the page. Support staff can assist in reviewing modules with objective answers, like true, false, or fill in the blank, as long as they have an answer key. If non-health professionals review modules, the participant must always be offered the opportunity to speak with a health professional. Health professionals will also want to clearly state what staff should do when the answers are incorrect on the module. Best practice would be the health professionals reviewing modules with the participants and asking if any other information is needed. Let's move on. Let's talk about bulletin boards. Generally, they're going to have a quiz attached to them, and like modules, a support staff person could review those answers. But remember, the participant must always be offered that opportunity to speak with a health professional. Again, best practice would be health professionals reviewing the quiz with the participants and asking if any other information is needed. Here's a sample quiz that was used with a bulletin board that discussed diabetes. Please note, this quiz also offers the participant the chance to speak with the health professional. Moving on, we can also talk about how we evaluate newsletters. Some quiz questions will be on the newsletter, or a separate short quiz can be used, and as with modules and bulletin boards, support staff can score those quizzes. Or the health professional can ask a few questions like, was there anything that was new information to you in this newsletter? What did you find surprising in this newsletter? Was there a favorite portion of the newsletter for you? What do you think you can take from this newsletter and do at home now? Remember, the participant must always be offered that opportunity to speak with the health professional. What about internet education? When using any internet options, check to see if the site has a built-in evaluation capacity. For example, WICHealth.org site has the ability, based on how the participant is answering the questions, to lead the participant through the 5 stages of change: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. And then at the end, assess if the participant was able to move through a stage or 2. That is evaluation. Remember, all you need to know about WICHealth.org can be found on the 2 videos located on this channel. Watch them. If you're using WICHealth.org, you do not need documentation of evaluation. Let's move on to how do you evaluate the topics and the methods you have selected to see if they're working for your participants. The answer to this question is a separate video, Choosing Nutrition Education Topics. Also consider, what is the attendance at group classes? With the various barriers our participants have, a class size of at least 5 or 6 is a very positive sign. You can also ask your participants from time to time if they like the newsletters or bulletin boards or modules, or which techniques that they prefer. Let's look at that second point on the ME guide. All nutrition education materials are reviewed and filed according to policy. All materials, regardless of where you obtain them, must be on file with the correct evaluation tool. This can be a hard copy or paper file, or you can have an electronic file of your materials. For your pamphlets, booklets, and newsletters, use this form, Evaluation Tool for Educational Materials. These are all the materials you are currently using. Outdated materials and materials you no longer use should be purged at least yearly from these files. For modules, use this form, Individual Module Format. Remember, if you are using the state modules, the disk, or SharePoint has all this information. You need only show that you have the disk or open SharePoint for your NASR during the management evaluation. What about bulletin boards? Well, use this form, Bulletin Board Evaluation. Don't forget, Your support staff can also complete evaluations and give you a fresh observation of the materials. Also remember, if you used handouts during a class, they must be included in your file with the evaluation tool for educational materials. Generally, health professionals complete this form for nutrition topics, and the breastfeeding coordinator or peer helper or a member of the breastfeeding team completes the forms for the breastfeeding topics. That way, no one person has all the work to do. The final point that we see on the ME guide is nutrition education activity updates are reported on the quarterly activity report, or sometimes we call it the QAR. The QAR is completed by either your director or an assignee with information that comes from the person or persons that can best answer the questions. Guess what? The nutrition education information is the very first question. Each quarter, someone from your project is reporting on the methods or formats that you are using and the topics provided. Your Nutrition Administrative Services consultant uses that information to ask for those materials when they are on site and doing your management evaluation. If you are the person that completes this section or provides the information to your director, remember to include photos of bulletin boards and classes and attach newsletters. This information will make this portion of the ME go much quicker. Your creative ideas may also be shared with other local projects or included in the WIC Notes newsletter, another source of nutrition education topics for you to consider. If you have any questions about evaluating your nutrition methods and materials, you can call your Nutrition and Administrative Services consultant. So, until the next video, stay healthy, Ohio.